Napoleon Hill studied the most successful people in America for years and years. And he came to the conclusion by the end of his studies that he published in this book. One of the most important lessons that he learned was all about why people continue to hit the ceiling when they are reaching for success, when they are trying to get there. They have all of the right strategies in place, yet don't seem to make it. And it all comes down to this lesson. So by the end of this session, you're going to have a framework of what to follow so that you don't get caught into this trap of always hitting the ceiling, never reaching your potential, and never growing your business the way that you want to. And it all comes down to lesson 15 that is about tolerance. So as we talk about tolerance, tolerance is this invisible force that is keeping even the smartest and hardest working coaches and entrepreneurs stuck in a cycle of mediocre, feeling like they're never going to reach what it is that they want. And so as we come to this chapter, this lesson about tolerance is the most skipped chapter in the entire book because it makes people uncomfortable. And we have a hard time reaching through that discomfort in order to gain the lessons. But I'm hoping that the 3 steps that I'm going to give you today are going to make it easier for you to reach through that discomfort in order to create that success that you have desired. So when we talk about tolerance, it comes down to your mental rigidity. Do you have the ability to think outside of your beliefs? Okay. So this usually shows up because one person is ego defiant, meaning they will defend their ego above anything else, whether it is right, true, or just. They will defend their ego. They will also seek for closure. They can't let things go until they receive the closure that they need around this situation. And so they will push something farther than it needs to be to receive their own personal closure without understanding the different pieces that are in play. It also comes down to over identifying with a single view. So this is the way that it has to be, and nothing else can change it. And it's got to be this way. And so we continue to push that agenda, so to speak, until we're able to prove that we were right. We're over identifying with a principle here. So when we are talking about success, how do you create success? What is the success that you desire? Intolerance becomes your number one enemy. When we are intolerant of people, of beliefs, of behaviors of people, that puts us in a place that we are not able to create success. Now, Napoleon Hill is not by any means saying that any behavior should go, because there are some behaviors, especially as an entrepreneur, that we just can't tolerate in your business, in the things that you're doing. And so, yes, we need to have tolerance for behaviors and people. And intolerance, we are just not going to allow certain behaviors. You have to have an understanding of what is helping you move forward. Is this helping you reach your goals? Is this helping you develop these relationships? Because that is where that success can come from. When you bring other people in, when you collaborate with other people, when you have other people helping build the dream that you have created, that is when you're going to be able to reach a higher level of success than you would if you were just working on your own. And that's going to require, we don't tolerate certain things, but the people and their beliefs, we have to come to an understanding of the things that are going on around them. If you accept an inherited belief or the social norms of what is acceptable to the general public, and you say, that's just the direction that we're going to go, and you don't ever question the things that are coming at you, that's where intolerance really comes from. You don't take the time to say, where is this coming from? Why do I believe in this certain way? You will always be capped in you will always be limited in your ability to create success based on your beliefs. If you hold a belief that says, I'm only capable of creating X amount, or if I'm only capable of reaching so many people, that is going to limit your ability and what your potential is, because you are intolerant. That ego inside of us is keeping us stuck. It's not allowing us to be able to move forward. So this is more relevant than anything else when we talk about Saul. Now, in the Bible, Saul was one of those people that was chosen of God. Samuel came and chose Saul and said, this is going to be the future king of Israel. We want you to be the king. And at this time in Saul's life, he was unsure of himself. He had very low self-confidence. He didn't have anything that would boost up that ego. And so he came to a place of like, okay, he came to this place of acceptance where he said, I want to do the will of God. And he was chosen to be king. But the more he grew in that position, the more power he got in that position, the more comfortable he became with being king, then this intolerance started kicking in. And that became Saul's biggest downfall. So he couldn't accept anything other than his own kingly logic. If it didn't make sense to Saul, the king, then he didn't act on it. And so when he was given direction from God through Samuel to go and take out the Amalekites, then he went and he couldn't fulfill on all of that. He killed all of the animals except for a few oxen and sheep that they were the best of the best. Why would you kill off the best of the best? And so he kept those. He didn't kill the king. There were just certain things that he couldn't do because it didn't make sense in his mind. So he clung to what he seemed to be right to him. He didn't allow the authority over his life to give him direction. That ego came in and said, nope, I know what's best. He became that ego defiant, and he didn't allow things to permeate of like, well, what would happen if I did, or what would happen if I didn't? There was something within Saul that we now call cognitive dissonance. What this cognitive dissonance is it's when the action that we're either asked to do or the action that we're doing has a conflict with the belief system that we hold. So what we're doing isn't in alignment with those beliefs, and it feels uncomfortable. When we're in that uncomfortable state, we often talk about like, oh, you have to push through that discomfort. But if you don't address the beliefs that make it uncomfortable, then what happens is this cognitive dissonance, where your brain is going to try to reduce that discomfort by readjusting or reinterpreting what the behavior is, what is the action. And so we say, well, if this feels uncomfortable, then maybe I wasn't supposed to do this directly. Maybe I was supposed to, go just slightly off a little bit. And that feels better. So we're going to go ahead with that. And it reduces the discomfort level. That's why this is the number one skipped chapter in the whole book, because it brings up things that are uncomfortable, where you have to look at it from a different perspective to maybe gain a little bit more of that understanding. If you can't do that work to be able to face the discomfort and do the self-reflection required, then you will always fall short of your potential, because that discomfort is going to rule your ability. You'll hit the ceiling and then drop right back down, because hitting that ceiling is uncomfortable. It's meant to be uncomfortable. And we have to learn to push through that discomfort in order to be able to create that desire. We have to push through that ceiling in order to reach that next level. Now, Saul was also mentally intolerant. He could not think outside of the box. He knew where he belonged. He knew that as a king, this is what it is that I'm supposed to do. And he refused to allow anyone else to outshine him, even if that was the prophet, even if it was God. Saul could not allow anyone to outshine him. He was the king, he was the top, and he had to be the one who had the last say. He also failed to have flexibility, to adapt to things, to say, we are going this way. Wait a minute, like, actually, we might need to tweak a little bit and go this way. Saul could not do that. He said, nope, this is the way that we're going. And he refused to dictate that. He fought for the future that he could see rather than aligning with the greater future that God had in store for him. And so when we look at the example of Saul, it helps us be able to identify, where are the things that I am being intolerant of? Are there places that I think that this is right because there's less discomfort? Are we noticing that those cognitive dissonances that are happening in your business when you hit that ceiling, that those are places that you are taking a step back, where you know you could do better, but you don't know exactly what to do? Oftentimes, those places of discomfort are signs that we need to do a little bit of reflection in those moments. So let me give you the 3 things that you can do. If you're in this place, if you're noticing that this discomfort is happening in your business, or you're hitting that ceiling and you want to be able to break through, these are the 3 things that you need to do in order to face that, to increase your tolerance, and to help build that mental strength, that cognitive strength that you need in order to face that discomfort. First, do a little bit of a belief audit. What are the things that you are thinking about right now that are maybe keeping you stuck? So think about things like race, like religion. Think about your finances. What do you think about success? What do you think about failure? When we do a belief audit like this and we come in and say, okay, where is this belief coming from? What are the things that I like? Why do I believe that way? Why do I think that this is the best option? Why do I think that this is the best outcome? You will come to find that oftentimes when that discomfort comes in, that there is a core belief that you hold with inside of you that is keeping you stuck, that's keeping you playing small, because you don't want to put yourself out there, because you're afraid of the outcome or what other people will think about you. There's so many different things that can come down to, but you won't ever find it unless we do a little bit of that self-reflection. So look at the times when you are triggered, when you are hiring people, when you are interviewing new clients, when you are in this space of working your business and interacting with other people. Do you jump to these conclusions? Do you jump to these assumptions about people because of the way that they look, because of the way that their first interactions with you? What are the assumptions that you're making? And take a minute to do a little bit of that self-reflection. When you hold this belief, is it helping you or hindering you on this path to success as you are working towards better relationships and achieving higher goals? Is holding this belief, the way that you think about and assume things about other people, is it helping you or hindering you on where it is that you want to go? If you can be honest in that question, that's going to help you get to that point where you can change the beliefs inside of you so that you can become the person who achieves that success. Now, the next one is to practice intentionally listening. Now, in this chapter of tolerance, Napoleon Hill talks about the antidote to intolerance is education. And this is not just a formal education. You have to have a degree, all of those things, but education in the form of being willing to learn from anyone. You can learn things from people all around you, whether they have a higher education than you or if they are a much lower education than you. There is always something there to be learned. Are you learning from other people in every area? Are you stepping into that place where you have the ability to listen to the things that are going on around you? Because it is this intentionally listening, not just to learn something, but to understand, that allows you to decrease this intolerance, this cognitive dissonance that sits within us, so that you understand people, where they're coming from, why they're speaking the way that they are. And as you learn about how your brain works and why we jump into these patterns that are happening, you start to see where people fall into this place of they're limited by their own beliefs, they're limited by their own things. And you can start to react in a better way because now you have asked yourself the important questions. You can ask yourself things like, where did I fall into this place of assumption? Did I catch myself assuming something about this other person? There's a neural tool that we teach within the Neuro Coaching Institute that we talk about positive assumptions. If you can look at a situation and assume that they are being nasty, that they are saying these ugly things, that they are not treating people kindly, not because they're a horrible, awful person, but because they have something within them that's broken. So I'm going to give them that benefit of the doubt and say maybe they had a really rough day. And I'm going to assume something positive about them instead of jumping to my own negative beliefs of this is how they always are, or it's because their skin is that color, or because they're in that line of business, they're all like that. If you can assume something positive about them and choose that belief rather than just allowing what is being thrown at you to define your beliefs, that is when you really start to win, because you know how to control the beliefs that are happening that dictate how you show up. So can you catch yourself in those assumptions? Can you have the flexibility to change your perspective? Can you look at this differently than the way that you originally thought? The ability to change your perspective in the situation is huge in running your business. To be able to look at it from different sides, to see what is the whole picture without my own cognitive bias behind it. Can I look at this from a new perspective and then practice that? Can you take the things that you learn and practice it in the small, simple moments of the day? When you practice these things just a little at a time, every single day, that is really what begins to change your automatic reactions. Those automatic behaviors that kick in, you'll start to notice, I don't think the way that I used to. I used to jump to these conclusions that put me in a place where, I distrusted anyone who was in sales, or I distrusted anybody who did marketing because they're all lying to me. When we change that perspective, this doesn't happen overnight, but it comes from the small things that you do every single day to change the way you think about something. Okay, the last one that we're going to talk about is turning judgment into curiosity. Now, judgment and curiosity can never hold the same place. They are what we would call an opposite. So if you take a pen such as this and you look at one side, this side is going to be helpful. This side is going to help us be productive and get the things done that we need. This side undoes everything. This is the eraser. This is the side that undoes everything that we have been working towards. Judgment is on this side. You may be judging people because you want to protect your business. You want to be able to grow and not fall short of your potential. And so we judge people that wouldn't be a good fit. this person isn't capable of doing those things because they don't have XYZ in place. When we cast judgments, we are always using the eraser end. What we need to use is the opposite end and create this curiosity in the things that we are working towards. The things that you are doing, can you create this curiosity in every circumstance that you have within your life and in your business? When we find ourselves in this place of instant judgment, because we all do it in so many different ways on varying levels, but we find ourselves in this place where we have instant judgment. Can you stop yourself and say, what is driving that thought? Why do I believe that marketing is hard? Why do I believe that I'm not capable of creating the income that I want? Why am I in this place of judging this other person because of what they're doing? This is intolerance, and it is everywhere in the world around us. It is in every industry. We are quick to judge and we are quick to turn off people. We don't have enough curiosity in the things that are happening in the world around us. Can you start to think differently? Can you start to imagine what would be a positive outcome because of the things that you are doing? When you hold this curiosity, when you step into this place of maybe I don't know everything in what it is that I'm doing, maybe I can learn something from somebody else. Maybe I can hire someone who's smarter than I am at this area. That is what's going to allow us to be able to reach that level of success that you've been looking for. It's going to take you from that place where you were constantly hitting the ceiling, never able to reach that next level where you keep bumping down. And we're going to break through that ceiling because you know how to have the mental flexibility to create that outcome. Now, if you feel like this is something that resonates with you, I invite you to come and to check out the Neuro Success course that we have, because all of this comes down to the ability to change your perspective, to think about what is possible. The only thing that's keeping you from that level of success that you know is possible for you is the way that you think about it, the way that you believe about it. If you can change those things and look at it, what's going to happen is that intolerance that you hold with inside of you, that ego defiance, is going to melt away. You're going to come to a place where you are able to change the perspective, to address everything that's coming at you with this level of curiosity, to be able to create that success. And that's really when you're going to start to win.